Okay, so for the last talk this morning, before lunch, we have Gonçalo from Diligence, and he's going to hug you for free and talk about the evolution of offensive security, building better incentives for hackers.
Thank you. I don't know about free, but I'll hug you. See if this works, okay. Oh. Okay, great. Hi, guys. My name is Gonçalo. For those of you that know me, hi. For those of you that don't, I'm one of the co-founders of the Consensus Diligence team. We've been doing security for the past 6 years, almost now. Doing security meaning that we've been doing audits for Web3, both on and off-chain code. So we know a little bit about security in the Web3 space. But today I come to you with a very heavy heart and sad news. The news is that security is really hard, and it's not solved yet. I was talking to Arjun yesterday about preparing the talk, and I realized that I really didn't need to prepare for this, because all of the things that I'm going to talk about today are things that we've felt for the past 6 years. They're problems that we have. You might see some oversimplifications and some generalizations that you may disagree with, but this is how we feel. This is how we feel right now. This is how we feel at Diligence. This is what has gone by that we couldn't solve throughout the entirety of these 6 years. The first thing is that security talent is hard. The learning curve to become an auditor, and a good and important distinction that I should make early on is that the title of the talk is Building Better Incentives for Hackers. The problems that I'm talking about today, they're not specifically about hackers, they're about auditors. An auditor's job is entirely different from a hacker's job. On one side, you're actually trying to protect. If the code was a ship, you're literally doing it from inside the ship, trying to cover every little hole. That's an auditor's job. But if you're an attacker, if you're a hacker, all you need to do is find one hole from the outside. So the job is entirely different. And the problems that I'm going to allude to are mostly auditors' problems and not specifically hackers' problems. The reason why I make the decision will hopefully become clear as I talk, but we are solving the problems of auditors more so than the problems of bug bountiers and whatnot. The idea is that they'll come together. Hopefully it'll make sense at the end. But yeah, security talent is hard. The learning curve is steep. The talent retention, and again, this pertains to security audit firms, and I shouldn't be using the audit term because we, at SPC, we all agreed that it should be security reviews, but it's just because it's a more familiar term. Talent retention for security audit firms is really hard, mostly because of the other tools in the security landscape, like Code Arena, Immunify. Hackers have a tendency to work really well alone. And so they go to these things. They can work whenever they want. They get lumps of money, but also they take their own vacations. They do their things the way they want it. And again, it's hard, but working with a team is also cool. And doing the auditing job is also cool. It's not only cool to find crits on Immunify, it's also cool to work in a team. Also, and this is more from a user's perspective or a client's perspective, availability is really hard to come by. I'm not saying that we're gonna solve the capacity, the problem of security firms' capacity. We're not, but I think that we can do one thing well or better, which is the prioritization of said work. The way we prioritize who gets an audit and who doesn't, or at least who gets an audit first, can be optimized. The third point is that there's weak alignment. Again, there's different models. People work in different ways. We have had retainers over the years. We've worked in different ways with our clients, but generally speaking, again, overgeneralization. You can disagree with me. We can talk outside, but there's weak alignment. between the auditors and the projects that they audit. You know, like long-term alignment is simply not there. And the third point that I make here is that that makes it so that the tools post-audit to secure your product is only bug bounties. But again, remember that these platforms are plagued by static analyzers and people that are only one pair of eyes, you know, one set of eyes. They are alone looking at your code. And to be honest, I don't think there's anything better than a peer review session when thinking about the security of your project. So you're not getting the full experience. We can do better. We can get auditors to also care about your product post-deployment, post-launch, post-audit. And apologies for the mistake over there. This is like carried over from Portuguese. I just found out that the inexistent word doesn't exist. It should read non-existent. But the last point here is that public goods funding is also non-existent. That's a stretch. The first sentence, people will probably get mad at me because of this. I actually corrected this in the final version of the slides. This is the draft, but saying that most of the security and dev tooling is being built as a public good by security firms is definitely a stretch. What I meant is like the security dev tooling. Because there's a clear separation in that, you know, like we are building the extensions and the visualizations that aid us in our job, but mostly we do it for the reputation, which is a very, very indirect way to derive value. You know, like we are building it for ourselves, but also for the community. And again, like it's just like it's a very indirect way for us to capture value. And again, like this might be an overgeneralization, the second point that I make there, but also we at Diligence, like we try to maintain an agnostic position over the things that we audit, over the projects that we choose and the platforms that we choose. And that makes it so that we, again, like we don't fully capture the value of building these tools for sad communities, because Diligence is not long ETH. Diligence is not long anything. Diligence is purposefully agnostic, you know, to avoid conflicts of interest and whatnot. And that's hard when you're just like putting out tools for free. Welcome, Crete. We're not going to solve everything. Maybe we won't solve anything at all, but at least we're going to try. Creed is hopefully going to be amazing. First, it has really good graphism. So it's like a mix of Dune and Assassin's Creed and like hoodies and hooded characters and shit. So it's cool. That's the first thing. But also Creed is a community of hackers. So, and this is going towards the first point of talent. What we want to do is actually get people to audit stuff as opposed to finding creeds in bug bounties. We want to get all the lone wolves to work together with the auditors, and so we're going to make it a collective. It's a security collective, if you will. We want to bring all the hacker talent in. Again, like not only auditors, but the lone wolves, everybody. We want to provide like fair terms for their work, you know? We want to make sure that everybody has the upside that they deserve and that they're accustomed to when they do bug bounties in the other platforms or whether they're doing auditing work. Also, like it should be a community of vetted people. So Creed will try to maintain a certain quality of output. This Creed, I won't be going too much into the details of the implementation of Creed today. This is merely an unveil of what's to come. And so I'm happy to discuss the details offline, and most of our team is going to be here. You can catch us outside, and we can discuss this at length. But the idea is that Creed will be a gated community to begin with. You know, reputation is hard to do. We're not trying to solve reputation, but there will need to be a reputation system involved in this. And like, it'll be a gated community, but it will be a community of vetted people. It'll hang out with good hackers, with people that actually care about that. You'll be hanging around people that have alpha. That's the idea. That's the premise. And obviously, we're going to try and do better long-term incentives. Which brings me to this next slide, which is like it's also good for product teams, right? Again, like the fact that it is a gated community or a vetted community of professionals will guarantee a quality of output. This is not new. This is not new to you. The fact that you go to certain security firms also already guarantees you a certain quality of output. So this is not new. We're just doing the same thing, but bringing in the lone wolves, right? Also, we want to make sure that Creed has the right incentives long-term. And so like Creed will encourage every protocol, every client, everyone that comes to Creed for work to do token exchanges and to fund the treasury with their own asset so that we get alignment long term and people keep looking at your code even after an audit is done. And obviously, we would also like for projects and product teams to be a Creed participant. Again, not going too much into details, but the idea is that like the community itself will decide on priorities and what to build and what not, which brings it to the last point, which is like Creed needs to be a conduit for better public goods. So funds accumulated through Creed will be used for sponsorship of security and dev tooling solely. This means that the Creed community will decide on what gets built, on who gets the money, and there will be money. This will be, assets will be transferred. You don't need to build only for reputation anymore. Let's stop that. Like you should get the resources that you need to build these things ahead of time and not after, right? Also, the Creed community will hopefully serve as a strong signaling product as to what needs to be built. So even before we decide on who gets money to build what, we hope that the Creed community, Creed holders, will actually signal very clearly on what tools need to be built. What do we need now? Do we need a mutation testing integration with Foundry? All of these small things, we hope that the communities actually rallies behind it and gets us the good off on what public goods are needed and whatnot. And I'm gonna close out about why should you care? I hope that at this point, it's already apparent, but we can go through it again. So if you're a hacker, you basically get long-term upside, if you audit something, so basically we're making the security auditing space look more like VCs, right? Which is a model that has actually been working with other people where they call themselves VCs, but the only thing that they do is actually they care about the security of your product and they'll take equity or tokens or whatnot. So you as a hacker, you get exposed to this deal flow. I really don't like this because the vision in my head is way more romantic than the type of language that I'm using right now, but it's true. This is behaving more like VCs, and so you get bigger upside. Also, if we bring in all these lone wolves, all these hackers that only participate in bug bounties, you'll have a family. And this is also good. This can be understated, but I also think that having a family is pretty fucking great, you don't need to be alone all of the time in your basement. You can hang out with friends. And we're pretty cool people, so it's a good family. Also the fact that Creed will be structured and will need to have, we've thought very, very long about this, but there will need to be an asset that represents a stake in Creed. And this means that you also share the upside on other people's works, which is really good, again, family. And obviously, if you're a Creed participant, hopefully Creed becomes important enough that being a participant in the Creed community means that you're actually shaping Web3. So if we decide what tools get built, or if we signal what tools should be built, hopefully that is another point with which you want to be part of it. Oh, and wait, did I break it? And you get cool swag. I almost forgot. We have all the plans to make the best swag, okay? Like, if you're as tired as me of, shitty t-shirts, you're in. Like, you're already a good friend. We'll make the best swag. And if you're a project dev, again, like long-term alignment with auditors, you also get a better prioritization system out of the Creed community and the Creed signals. So if you want to be, as a project dev, if you also want to be part of the Creed family, you also get to prioritize yourself or your friends, right? And if you go to Creed to get security work done, you're actually giving back to the community. How is this not a great thing? So like, should I go here and give 100% to these people, or should I go here and give 10, 15, 20% back to the community, Like, that you're funding the work that you will use later on, Like, are you using the VS Code extension, the Solidity visual extension? Well, then come to Creed, and you're paying for it in an indirect way, but you are essentially paying for your own tools, for the tools that you'll use later on. And again, really, really cool collab swag, which we really want to go like full A24 on this thing. And every time, like this would be marvelous. And it is our plan. Every time Creed does security work for some project, we'll do collab swag, and we'll put it in a shop, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's 2022. We're going to launch it. This is going to happen. Maybe it doesn't solve anything. Hopefully, it solves a lot of these things. We're working really, really fucking hard so that it does solve these things. But at the very, very least, we're going to try. That's what I can promise. Thank you so much. Go visit the website. It's thecreed.xyz. It was in stealth up until now. There's a mailing list. We'll tell you when we're ready. It's going to be soon, so soon. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gonçalo, for this great teaser. Does someone have a question, or are you just waiting to sign up? When is that going to be possible?
So yeah, so the mailing list is already up. We'll give you news. So if you subscribe on the website right now, we'll send you an email out with news. Hopefully it's months out, 1, 2, tops. So go there, subscribe.
You want another free hug?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like you're talking about getting a bunch of these like lone wolf hacker type people together, and I was just wondering why haven't they joined security auditing firms already, and what about Creed makes it so much more attractive for them to not do what that they're currently doing?
Yeah, so I think, and again, this might be an overgeneralization, but the reason why they haven't is because they really enjoy doing the work in their own time. And I said, like I put it in one of the slides, these people like to have a 6-month vacation, work for a month, find a Creed, and go away. So Creed will enable that. Creed, again, like Creed will be a system where, like, and this is made in parallel to all the diligence activities. I want to make this very clear. So like, all even companies or single people can be participants in Creed, and they'll come together, they'll work on a project that they've signaled interest for the duration of the project, and then they can go away. We won't revoke your access. You don't need to work continuously to prove that we're calling these people paladins, by the way. I said I wouldn't reveal too much. I can talk about these things in more detail outside, and we'll take it offline. We're calling them the paladins, and we won't revoke access. Once you're a paladin, you're a paladin. And you can just like come and go, work as you please. And hopefully there'll be, since they also share upside from the work of all the other people, and they'll get a say, like in what gets spilled and what not, hopefully this is interesting enough for them to just like join. Why wouldn't you? You know, like it's non-committal, so. Yep. Oh, there's another one.
Usually auditors, they have teams and collaboration and specialization inside. And they can spread the efforts of the auditing inside. Here I can see the model that different people work with different people. So what about effectiveness? This is one. And how you're going to deal with the failure.
So can you repeat the first question? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, different people work with different people, and this is not the one team, as usually auditors do. And it makes them much more productive, because they know how to work together, different specialization. And here, I see the situation, different people, they really don't know one each other.
Okay, so you're saying that whereas in a security audit firm, let me see if I understood the question correctly. Whereas in an audit firm, people are accustomed to each other and they're attuned and they know how to work together in a group. Here, since like there's a different collection of people, they might not work as well together, and so it might just so be that it ends up being a little bit code arena-ish. Is that the question? I'm air quoting because like it just means that they work like kind of like in parallel and they don't really work well together. So again, I can't be sure that that won't happen, but I think that falls under the thing that I said we wouldn't solve for sure, which is the reputation system. Creed will need to have a guarantee of quality for sure, and again, like this thing will need to be gatekept, and it won't be permissionless in that sense. We can implement later on in a V2 or something a reputation system based on like attestations from people that are already there, and so they'll choose their coworkers and people that they want that can join the family. But in the beginning, it'll honestly have to be chosen, cherry-picked. People are cherry-picked by us. to join the family, and hopefully we'll be careful enough when choosing these people that we know that at least in an early stage, in an early stage early on, like these people know how to work together. So we'll need to guarantee that in the beginning. How it'll work when we really want to make it permissionless, I'm not entirely sure.
Well, thank you again, Gonçalo.
Thank you so much, guys.
We're going to break for lunch, and we'll meet everybody back at 1:30. Thanks.
Thank you.